So, as of the time that I'm writing this, Steam is currently holding an event called Steam Next Fest that features dozens of playable demos of indie games that are slated to release in the future. This is a great way for people to experience snippets of up-and-coming games that might pique their interest, depending on their taste. And while I would love to try and give more demos a shot, I unfortunately don't have much of the necessary time or motivation to play them. However, one demo that I was really looking forward to, and a game that I've had my eye on a bit for over a year at this point, is a nifty little game called Team Recon. Created by an individual who goes by the moniker of Mr. Rolling Circle on social media sites, this unsuspecting game has officially instated itself as one of my most anticipated games that are set to release in the future, alongside games like Metroid Prime 4. But why is that? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you everything that this game's demo currently has to offer, and why I think you should keep your eye on it in whatever announcements the creator has to make in the future. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, I'm sure that the first question that's crossing your mind right now is, what exactly is Team Recon? Well, curious viewer, Team Recon is a 3D platformer game that sees you controlling 3, soon to be 4, characters with moe appearances that all have the ability to shapeshift into any nearby lifeforms that you come across along your adventure. This shapeshifting ability can be used on a fairly wide range of entities, from a small owl to a pickaxe-wielding humanoid to a fly that has a sweetly appearance. From there, whatever you've shapeshifted into also grants you an ability. For example, when you shapeshift into an owl, you can flap your wings and take to the skies, or in this case, to the ceiling. Or when you shapeshift into this minor humanoid, you can throw your pickaxe to orbit around you a few times before it comes back to your hands, which can destroy these polychromatic colored crystals that block your way. The shapeshifting ability really spices up the gameplay that otherwise would just make this game a pretty basic 3D platformer. Which isn't to say that would be a bad thing, but with the ability to transform into the lifeforms around you as well as copy their abilities, it brings some surprising variety to the table, and not only breathes some life into the world that we explore, but is also just a really cool mechanic in general. I'll briefly touch upon the story since it's a bit minor, but still important to the overall context of the game itself. The story goes as such. There exists these slime creatures known as Ayals, not pronounced as Ayals, the game makes that pretty clear, that once peacefully lived on a planet after spending generations building their society to the point that it reached at that time. But then, everything went wrong as these unnamed invaders suddenly appeared one day. They were much stronger, smarter, bigger, and just about everything to make the Ayals seem powerless before them. As a last-ditch effort to escape for their survival, the Ayal commander and a subordinate named ICT built a ship, evacuated all remaining Ayals to it, and blasted off into space, leaving their home planet behind. Now, with dwindling power for their ship, the Ayals must find a habitable planet for them to land on and find new energy sources. Through rigorously training certain Ayals in their shapeshifting ability, which they call Recon Ayals, they sent those Ayals to different planets in order to attempt to ensure that conditions are hospitable and suitable for Ayal life. But none have been successful, nor have they returned, leaving just 3 Recon Ayals left in the entire ship. But, after some observation, they discovered that planet Earth is bustling with life, and therefore must be examined for certainty of its habitability. As such, the Ayal commander sends the last 3 Recon Ayals to Earth for scouting, and our journey is officially started from there. It may not be the most in-depth or elaborate story ever, at least for the time being, but it's a simple enough plot that has me engaged and wondering what is going to happen to our main characters when they begin to explore the surface of Earth. And the backstory of the Ayals, while currently pretty vague and doesn't give us an answer as to who exactly drove them off their planet, is compelling enough to make me want to see them succeed in their mission. Maybe even bring their invaders to justice after regaining their power? Who knows? Speaking of the characters, let's talk about them, shall we? The first character we're properly introduced to is Herb, a green Ayal AI that has a bit of a knack for sleeping, it seems. Herb is a cute little guy and possesses an upbeat and outgoing personality, while still caring for his IL companions as they get themselves caught in danger. Just like other ILs, he has the ability to shapeshift into nearby lifeforms and use their abilities to his liking. For the time being, Herb is only reserved for the tutorial, the cutaway scenes that occur at the end of a chapter, as well as the hub world where you can choose which chapter you want to play, but he's a pretty neat character regardless of that. Next up, we have Ember, an adorable red IL that reminds me of a certain pink-haired character from a similar series. Anyways, Ember here is the most hyperactive and comedic of the group. She cracks the most jokes, has the most boisterous personality, and is often the troublemaker with some of the remarks that she makes, as well as her tendency to crash ships, according to the IL commander. During the transition from the end of Chapter 1 to the beginning of Chapter 2, Ember falls asleep at the wheel of the ship during their trip to Earth, causing them to collide with an asteroid and come crashing down to Earth, landing in what seems to be an Arctic area. Pretty indicative of her personality, if I do say so myself. We play as her for a good portion of Chapter 1 and the entirety of Chapter 2, so it seems as though she's going to be a big focus throughout the game. No surprises there, really. Next is Penny, a blue IL that also reminds me of a certain blonde-haired character from that same series that I said before. Starting to notice a pattern here. Penny is the most mature of the group, both in terms of her looks and in terms of her personality. She's very calm and caring, often looking out for Ember and trying to keep her in line when she says something wrong. Penny seems to dote on Ember quite a bit, as she puts herself in front of Ember in the advent of the supposed malfunction of service robots and their subsequent aggression. She also seems to show a bit of disdain for some of Ember's jokes, and even a bit of sadness after thinking she was the big blue and pretty thing that Ember mentioned, even though it was just the planet Neptune as they passed by it on their way to Earth. God, please step on me. And last, but certainly not least, we have Light, a yellow IL that is the third to join our trio of primary colored slimes. She is appointed as the leader of the group by the IL commander, as she reportedly had the best results out of everyone in the morphing training. Just like Ember, Light possesses a fairly upbeat personality. But unlike Ember, she isn't as much of a troublemaker or ditz, and she evidently knows what she's doing. And after realizing that Ember sold her seatbelts in order to get money for some delivery food, she starts to question why the commander sent Ember on this mission in the first place. A pretty funny moment if you ask me. Unfortunately, we aren't given much time with Light in this demo, as she and the group are pretty quickly separated as a result of the crash. But maybe in the future, she'll get her time to shine. I'm so sorry. Overall, I love this set of characters. They're really entertaining, humorous, adorable, and share some great chemistry with each other. Even if Herb is on his own at the moment, he's still a fun character, and I hope that we get to see some interactions between him and the trio at some point in the coming chapters. Moving on from the characters, I want to touch a little bit more on the gameplay itself. I mentioned before that this game features a shapeshifting mechanic that allows you to transform into any nearby lifeforms, as well as use their abilities to help you progress through the game. But there's much more to this game than just that. First and foremost, the art style. I love this art style so much, and I'm sure anyone who's familiar with it understands why. This is an art style that's incredibly reminiscent of the Paper Mario series. The Paper-esque characters, for one, but also the environment designs and the obstacles as well. They all have this sort of arts and crafts feel to them, and as someone who really loves the Paper Mario series, this scratches that stylistic itch that I've been yearning for from a game for quite a while now. Sure, we had Bug Fables come before this that was very much a Paper Mario aesthetic, but this one pleases my eyes just as much, if not even more than Bug Fables. And it's not just the art style that's reminiscent of Paper Mario 2, but the platforming aspects and the interactions that you have with the NPCs are very much like Paper Mario as well. Solving puzzles, destroying objects to reveal some goodies, collectibles, all of it is very much like Paper Mario, and I, for one, enjoy it a ton. There are NPCs throughout the areas that you explore that you can have a quick chat with, and their dialogues are all really funny and give them their own personalities that flesh out the world a lot more. Like these Knackbots, for example. They may just seem like simple service robots, but each of them have their own pieces of dialogue that make them stand out just a bit more than they would otherwise. My favorite is this snackbot who lost his money while trying to get a snack from a vending machine, and then he says he hopes that someone doesn't end up using that money to put weight on a pressure plate, while we then go ahead and use that money to put weight on a pressure plate so we can progress. Really good stuff in all honesty. And it's not just the knackbots too. Later in the second chapter, you come across these hooded mining creatures called ogres, and they're said to possess some pretty incredible strength. They seem to be a pretty proud group of creatures, priding themselves on their strength. But then, once you explore further into this cave, you come across an ogre who seems super depressed. If you talk to him, he says that he's been mining all day trying to find a blue gem, and would reward anyone who gives one to him. Earlier in the cave, you come across a blue crystal, and by interacting with the pickaxe near it, you can pick up a blue gem and bring it over to him to receive one of the collectibles scattered within the level. He'll try to tell you the story of why he wanted one so badly, but Ember doesn't have time for that. Poor girl is freezing her cheeks off after all. Speaking of collectibles, yeah, there's quite a few of them in this game as well. It seems that the collectibles, referred to as souvenirs in-game, are going to be different for each chapter. Chapter 1 has these IL gummies, while Chapter 2 has these snow globes. And, taking a look at the metal, it seems that one of the later chapters is going to feature a seashell as a collectible too. These things are actually pretty well hidden throughout the chapters. Hell, I'm someone who enjoys looking for secrets and whatnot, speaking from my experiences with Metroid games here, and even then, I still couldn't find all of the snow globes in Chapter 2. So, needless to say, you'd best be checking every nook and cranny if you want to collect all 5 of them within the chapter. On top of collecting these objects, you also collect a ton of this game's currency, foil. Foil is a currency that can be earned from just exploring the world or by breaking objects that are littered throughout the overworld. Once you've gotten enough foil, you can head over to the scrapbook and purchase things such as alternate costumes for the playable characters, or side cutscenes that give us more of an exploration to the personalities of the characters. According to the creator, Mr. Rolling Circle, the foil is based on the LEGO studs from the LEGO video games, and that one of the medals you get at the end of a chapter is based on the True Jedi objective from the LEGO Star Wars games. Pretty neat, I'd say. All of these elements combined, and you get what I'd consider to be an awesome and enjoyable experience. This is certainly an indie game that I think is worth looking forward to. Not only does it start out quite strong by introducing us to the characters, how they act, their chemistry together, and so on, but it also has a solid foundation for the gameplay that I know for a fact will be heavily expanded upon in future chapters. Whether that's introducing new and unique shapeshifts, abilities exclusive to your human form, or new puzzles that really tease your brain a bit, there's a lot of room for greatness here, and my expectations are quite high from the 2 chapters we have available to us. It's fun to play, it's humorous, the gameplay loop is pretty unique, the characters are fantastic. Really, I don't think there's any skipped beats as far as I'm aware. Maybe the in-world cutscenes and the transitions could have a bit more flair to them to stand out a bit more, but honestly, that's super nitpicky and won't affect my overall experience whether or not it changes in the slightest. If you're a fan of 3D platformers, I think you'll really enjoy this demo, and whenever the full game releases, you should 100% get it. To wrap up this video, I want to quickly mention once again the creator of this game, Mr. Rolling Circle. They spent years making this game, dating all the way back to 2020, and I've been watching the development of it for a little while at this point. They're hard at work to get this game out, and all on their own from what I understand. So if you enjoy the demo and want to aid them in their journey to releasing the full game, please go show them some support on their Ko-Fi page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, as well as a link to their social media accounts. Keep an eye out for any announcements that they may make regarding the game and its development. Or, if you enjoy looking at artworks, they're a fantastic artist, too. Plus, they're a really nice person to interact with, so all in all, I really hope that they get the push they need to release the full game soon enough. Other than that, I've got not much else to say. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all on my next upload. Peace!